what I want to say before we even get started is it's important to us that you guys hedge your wealth. And I encourage everybody in every single video to go everywhere else first. For real. Look everywhere and then give Stacey a shot. That's her number back there on the board. We're not really here. That's not our primary income is gold and silver. I have a welding business, other businesses. I just want to be involved in the space so I can get everybody the best deal possible. And I need you to keep me accountable. Try to find that best deal somewhere else, really.
And also, there's no minimum purchase. There's no maximum, mainly minimum, because my goal is just to get silver or gold or whatever you want in your hands. That's just our main goal. But I guess we get asked, well, several times a day, premiums. And why are the premiums? Because when you look at the spot, you're like, why can't I just pay that for an ounce of gold or silver? And it goes up and down, and then you're like, why do I have to tack this premium on? And so he and I were talking about this a little bit, and it goes back to everything you purchase, every single thing you purchase, from coffee beans to the
shampoo.
Yeah, just everything you purchase, to the batteries, to
I heard another YouTuber talking about it doesn't matter. You know, nobody gripes about other things that are going up in price. Because think about what it takes to mine the earth, you know, fuel and you know, that all goes into the spot price, and the premium after that is supply and demand plus what it takes to get it through the mint and everything else.
Yeah, so there's several different things, and I actually wrote some things down. So I kind of want to go through it. So maybe this will help you understand what premium includes.
Now, this doesn't include numismatics.
Well, we're going to talk on that.
Yeah, we're going to really beat that up because I have a hard time with it.
We're gonna touch on a little bit of everything. Yeah, when it comes to the premium portion, not the spot today, because we've talked about spot. We're just going to hit the premium portion.
Deal.
I know. All right, so inflation. Let's just talk about inflation. So everything, when you go to the stores right now, everything that you purchase right now, you're seeing inflation. So inflation also hits the silver and the gold spot in the premium. It does, because you think about that. So it went from the mints required so much money to do this, pay their employees, melt it down, the equipment, the electricity, everything. And then it comes to us. So then it requires so much for us. We've got a finance guy who processes all the payments. Then we've got the shipping department. And then you've got me. And then you've got the company. So just think about this. If you were to buy, say, 1 ounce of the Buffalo Silver Rounds right now, the premium is $3.75. So think about taking $3.75 and paying all those different people that it touched. You don't make that much. So when you look at it like that, I think it kind of breaks it down and you're like, okay, I get it. That's the premium. And it has to do with inflation. Another one is availability. And as we saw, the premium spiked. It was about, so April, I think, the spot started spiking. And then about July, somewhere around in there, the premium started spiking because we were having less and less availability. I was having a harder time getting my hands on stuff. You want to jump in? Jump in.
No, go ahead. I was just thinking, Mike Maloney did a video the other day, and Jeff Clark, we covered it a little bit about the supply of silver.
Yep.
And how it's such a small market. And when you start really getting into the other side of it, it's like, because I've been to the silver mines, I've been able to really talk to a lot of people. The space is really small. It's not like, 1 billion ounces was mined in 2022. The market cap is like 22 billion. It's tiny. And so we're working off that supply.
You're right.
And, when the prices skyrocket up, the premiums kind of stay the same. And then when people want it, the premiums kind of go up. And then it kind of follows kind of back and forth. It's really hard to figure out. But
There's
anyway,
a lag. There's always a lag. So when spot spikes, so you're always going to see just a little bit of lag, it seems, to all of a sudden they're like, oh, whoa. So or if we have an increase in demand, let's just put it that way. So if there's an increase in demand, you're not going to see it right off the bat. But then all of a sudden availability goes down and premium goes up. So you just kind of have to see what's going on in the market and that kind of stuff. That's one of the reasons. Not only that, but let's just clear up a misconception also right now. So bullion, everybody calls me and they're like, give me some bullion. Bullion is everything. Bullion is gold and silver. So you can have bullion coins, you can have bullion rounds, you can have bullion bars. That is going to be, so I think so, but that's based on also the price. So your premium is also going to be, if it's a coin, which is typically from a government mint. If it's around a private mint, a bar is going to have much cheaper because you go up in value, or not value, but you go up in the amount that you're purchasing. You know, the bar is a 10 ounce, 100 bar. Your premium is going to go down. So this is all, it's just variables. And call me, I'll tell you what we have to offer. I'll explain it to you. But when you look at premiums, that's kind of how you have to look at it. You got to say, all right, coins are going to be a little bit more. Rounds are a private mint, going to be a little less. And then within that coin range, let's just go into that just a little bit further. So you're going to have a few coins that are going to be a little bit higher in premiums because they're considered legal tenders. You got the Eagles and the Maples. Those are the most popular, especially the Eagles. They're considered legal tenders in the United States. They have $1 face value for silver, 50 for gold. You're not going to swap it for $1, and you're not going to swap it for $50. But if you wanted to, you could. And so that makes them considered a little bit more desirable. There's some people that's all they want to purchase. I get it. This is your perspective. This is your choice of what you want to do. I'm just trying to explain why the premiums are the way they are. So that's kind of another reason why, is if it's a coin versus a round versus a bar versus if it's a government mint and if it's a legal tender. So that might help a little bit also.
So the premiums were how high? They were like 17 on an Eagle?
Yeah, they were almost $18. And now we're back down to, let's see, I just checked, and I think I'm $15.50. Yeah.
So why was that?
The availability. It was getting less and less.
So it's a supply and demand thing.
It's supply and demand. Matter of fact is the Britannias, when the Queen passed, the 2022 sold out immediately. And now I only have the 2023s. I haven't had the 2022s in quite some time because it is supply and demand. That also is a big factor for the premiums. And it's just like everything else in life.
Yeah, I know. But when it comes to gold and silver, you've got a few people that consider it a scam, which is really odd to me. It's very strange. But you know, you have to, if you know somebody like that, and a lot of us are stackers, some of us are gold bugs. I don't even really consider myself a gold bug. I consider myself hedging wealth. It's buying a commodity to hedge my wealth with. But it's kind of like be a contrarian or be a victim. The masses of society have been talked out of owning precious metals, and I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to gather them. And yeah. We sell precious metals, but I encourage you to go somewhere else to buy them. I'm telling you the truth. I always get 3 bids on any business I've ever owned.
Good point.
I always get 3 bids. Get the best 3 bids, and hopefully Stacey's one of them. If she's not, I don't care.
That's right.
I'm serious. That is the truth.
Yep.
I got into this space to be involved in it while the currency collapses, because that's exactly what's happening. That's how you get into a good business. I've already done it the other way, where you just invent something and just push it on people, and they're like, well, I don't want it.
Yeah.
But
you
when
need
you get
to
into
do a video about that.
Yeah, I am. I invented the world's best squat rack, and it is a really good product.
It is.
But there's not enough money in it, and you know, not everybody needs it or wants it. But this is something that has to do with their currency. That
right.
You know, people are seeking hard assets. Stacey isn't on the phone every day with people that are trying to get into hard assets, and they are.
Well,
first-time buyers is unreal.
I just think there's a lot of misinformation out there about the premiums. So that's the reason why I just kind of wanted to say, hey, there's another thing also. You've got large mints and you've got small mints. So your large mints, which the Eagles and the Canadian, the Maples, they're obviously bigger. They can process things faster. So they're able, even though the Eagles are still going to be at the top of the line, but they're able, sometimes the Maples actually go and sell a little bit. They're able, and there's a few other ones that they're bigger. They're able to process it faster. You get a little bit better premium. These smaller mints, they're going to charge more. That's just the way it is, because they don't have that equipment, and they don't have, well, it's just the affordability. And then here, I thought this was interesting, and this past year is not true, but it was the time of year. Typically, apparently, and I looked at some stats, summer was where the premiums were typically down. That was not the case this year, I think, because all the volatility that was going on and everything else. But typically, I guess summer is when premiums are, and then all of you have economic circumstances. So there is not just one thing that plays into the premiums. When people call and they're like, well, what's the premium? Why is it this way? There are so many factors that play into it. You can't just say one thing, I don't think.
Right. And as you're looking at the premiums and whether to buy or whether to not, there is no price that gold and silver could go to that wouldn't be unacceptable because there's no floor for the dollar. There's no. When you're looking at a currency collapse, which I'm not saying that it's all going away tomorrow. Somebody's going to misconstrue this and say the dollar's going to nothing. I don't think that, but I think as we rock along through this situation where other countries are doing business outside the dollar, the U.S. GDP after World War II was 40%. Now it's 20. It's like
that was
all signs point to, our currency's getting weaker. And so there's a lot of people going to gold and silver, and it's strange to think about it like that. I'm not sure if I'm phrasing it right, but there's no floor for the dollar. So that means there's no telling how high real, tangible money that there's only so much of in the ground. There's only so much. Well, we can't go out and just mine a bunch real quick. I mean, we mine like 2% more gold a year. That's it. All the easy stuff's already been gotten to. So it's a hard asset. It's really hard to get to, and it's valuable, and all other countries need it, and they want it. Silver's a commodity. It goes into every electronics there is. That's why we're in the space, and the premiums are part of what it takes to get it out and to us. Yeah. Even us, we have to pay the premium too. It's not something we drum up. I wish we had a big pile behind the shop that we could just raise the premiums up and down on, but we don't.
And just so you know, I do my best to try to get in the system, and I see if I can beat some of the premiums and see what I can, work with or whatever. At that point, when I quote you something, it only is good for that moment because sometimes it just goes up and down and up and down. But right now, everybody's kind of freaking out. They're like, oh my goodness. The spot is like going up. If you guys go back to February right now, the silver was $23.46. When I just got online right now because the market's opened back up, which by the way I'd like to touch on that for 5 seconds, we're only $23.51. So it goes up and it goes down. It goes up, and so sometimes when the premium goes down, the spot goes down, the premium's going to go up because people are going to dive in more. And so that's just something you just kind of have to ride with it and just go with it. I'll help you try to figure it out when you call me. But interestingly enough, the Comex, this is something you guys need to pay attention to also. It trades 23 hours a day. So when you guys are seeing that spot jump up and down, it literally trades 23 hours a day. I think it shuts off from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time. It shuts off, I think, around 4 p.m. Friday Central Time, and I think it opens up Sunday at 5 p.m. So Saturday, if you guys ever want to call, spot will be the same all day long. That's the one day you get that spot's not going to jump on you, that I can quote it to you, and it's going to be the same for several hours.
Is that because it's such a global thing?
So you have two Comexes. You have one that's in New York, but the parent company's in Chicago, and then you have one that's in London, and they trade across the world 23 hours per day. They close down 1 hour, except for starting at Friday at 4 p.m., and they open back up at Sunday at 5 p.m. So Saturday's really the only day that you're guaranteed that spot to stay, and pretty much the premiums also stay. But anyway, you guys ask me about the premiums all the time, so I told Chris, I'm like, well, let's just kind of discuss what's going on with them. What makes a premium a premium?
Okay, now, while we're talking about premiums, the premium on numismatics. Numismatics is anything before 1933 that a lot of these brokers will try to really push because they make a higher commission. I don't ever plan on selling numismatics. One, because I don't know anything about it. Two, I invest in precious metals for the commodity factor. There's only so much. That's it. Pretty much it. Did you had something to chime in on?
So this is a personal choice. Okay, I know. So we've kind of had a bad taste in our mouth, but I'm not going to completely disregard it. This is a personal choice, and I think that's where we need to back up.
Sure.
So, for example, okay, let's just talk about fine art. You might have a Mona Lisa, or you might have something like that. That's a fine art. Some people can't afford that. That is a very expensive fine art. It's the same thing with the pre-1933. That's a fine art piece of gold and silver. The premiums are going to be very, very high. Yes, a lot of these companies, that's I think where we got a bad taste in our mouth, is some of these companies push those because they get a higher premium. We've personally been approached
So should
to do
fine
that.
art be marked up 100% or 70% or
It is.
80%?
It is because
Fine art is?
It is extremely because there is that's that one piece. That's it. That's all there is of that fine
So
art.
the markup,
Yes.
I don't have I have a problem with it.
So, but if you're in that
don't
position and
understand
you
it.
can purchase it, I think that should be up to you. I think that's a personal choice. It's
Okay.
not something, but if you're just calling to say, hey, I would like to get some precious metals, I'm just trying to get silver, I'm trying to get gold.
Well, you can pull gold out of the ground right now that's just as old as the gold that's minted off a battleship in pre-1933. You know what I'm
I
saying? It's
agree.
the same age. It's minted different, and it was in a shipwreck and
But
all this stuff,
supposedly-
and now the premiums have quadrupled. It doesn't make sense to me. I
Okay.
smell a scam.
Well, because supposedly if it's before 1993, it's on the
33.
books. 1933, it's on the books, a law that supposedly it cannot be confiscated, just like legal tender cannot be confiscated, just like the junk silver supposedly cannot be confiscated, and that is why these
Yeah, but they
premiums.
changed the rules, and the likelihood of them confiscating it is minimal.
Well, that's our beliefs.
That's just what I think. But think about it. Think it through.
Yeah.
What if the United States started confiscating the citizens' gold again, which only one person was arrested and not convicted the last time they did it? What would other countries do? What would other countries do? They would run. They would sprint to gold and silver. They would. It would be like the biggest red flag on the currency. We don't have. It's a global thing now. We have a global currency. We didn't have a global currency back then. It would do the opposite of what they wanted. It is off the table, I think. Well, nothing's off the table in the Thunderdome, and I've been wrong before. But I just can't see it. I can't see it any other way. But, I guess they could. That's no reason for me not to do it. I guess if it was 100%, okay, it can never be confiscated, and it was for sure, I would have 100% of my wealth in it. But I don't, because there is that chance. There is that risk, even though it's small, you can't do, or I don't recommend doing 100%.
Well, that's why you guys call me all the time and you ask me, what should I buy? I'm like, why are you purchasing? So that's why I wanted to explain the premiums. This is why. These are what the premiums affect. This kind of tells you a little bit about them. So when you're looking at spot, you can add those premiums on and go, okay, what am I looking at? Do I want to go a coin that's more, and it's a coin that's from a government mint, more well-known? I call them brands. That's not the correct term, but that's what I call them. And then are you ready to just go best bang for the buck? 10 ounces. Are you trying to go just to get some silver in your hands? And so I think that's where the premium comes into play, and there's a lot of misconception. But anyway, I just wanted to answer that question. Hopefully that brings it down a little bit more simpler. And as far as the I screw that name up every time. Numismatics. We personally are not fans of that particular coin.
It's mainly just because I have such a bad taste in my mouth from these other brokers pushing them so hard.
But just back up a minute. Andy, the owner of Miles Franklin, he's a big fan of them. He loves them, but he's been collecting for years. And if you have the availability to do that and you want to do that, I support that. That is your personal decision. It's not mine.
That's fine. But when I know people that call these people to hedge in gold and silver, and they push it on them.
I would never pressure
They
you.
push it on like, okay, go ahead and send me the $20,000 check, and then I'll let you know what I can get you. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I just want to hedge with gold and silver.
No, you will know up front with me what the spot is, what the price is, what the premium is when you lock in.
And maybe I'll stand corrected one day, but for right now, I will never, as far as I know, from what I understand and know, I do not ever plan on owning any numismatics.
There you go.
That's just me. Now, maybe everybody's different. Please tell me. Fill me in on the comments. Fill me in on why you should or should not own pre-33 coins, besides the fact that they're unconfiscatable, which they could change that in a New York second. And another reason, why am I craving pickle juice like a madman? I've drank 2 jars of pickle juice. I don't know. I've been taking some magnesium, and all of a sudden I'm craving pickle juice like nuts. So, fill me in there.
Welcome to our crazy world.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got, babe. I just want to talk about some premiums and hopefully answer some questions.
Well, good deal. And a quote from Rick Rule before we go. If the commodity is necessary for the well-being of humanity, either the price goes up or the commodity goes away. So I'll leave you with that. Have an awesome, awesome day, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Later.